This is an AI-generated podcast based on the article From Burnout to Kingdom Alignment by Tess Vergara. The article link is in the show notes. Welcome to Kingdom Factor Collective. I'm your host, David Severin, and today I'm sitting down with Tess Vergara, Kingdom Factor coach and founder of Soul Powered Leaders. Tess, really glad you're here.
David, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here and let's dive in.
So let's start at the beginning because your story is pretty raw. You were a high-performing financial controller, and from the outside, it probably looked like things were going really well. But something was clearly off beneath the surface. What was actually happening?
Yeah, so here's what happened. I burnt out. And I don't mean tired burnout. I mean, I didn't want to be here anymore. I couldn't find a reason to live, even though I have kids. And that's a hard thing to say out loud, you know? I was professionally achieving, but I felt powerless, disconnected. And I was also hitting that empty nesting season where I started feeling like I wasn't needed anymore. It was like a collapse. Identity, purpose, soul, all of it.
That's really significant. And I think a lot of leaders listening can relate to that gap between external achievement and internal reality. So what did you do with that? Because you didn't just go the typical route.
Right. So I had this prompting, and I fully attribute it to the Holy Spirit to enroll in a coaching certification. Not to leave accounting, but honestly to coach myself out of this hole I was in. And I learned so much, but none of the tools could reach the root. I remember saying it didn't go deep enough, not into the root, not into the soul. And that's when everything shifted for me spiritually. I had this awakening where I realized true leadership requires vertical alignment. Body, emotions, mind, spirit, all of it.
Can you unpack that vertical alignment? Because I think that phrase is doing a lot of work there.
Yes, absolutely. So the idea is that when we are fragmented, when we're not integrated, we lose ourselves. And I see this all the time in leaders. They're running their business, they're performing, but they've abandoned themselves somewhere along the way. True leadership begins when we are aligned with God and our soul. That's really the foundation of soul-powered leaders. It's not a mindset program. It's soul alignment with Christ. And from that place of wholeness, you can actually lead outward into your business, your team, your community, on earth as it is in heaven, you know?
I love that. And I'm curious, where does that kind of deep faith come from for you? Because that's not something you just develop overnight.
No, it goes way back. I grew up in the Philippines, and my mom, she was just relentlessly faithful. She persevered through so much hardship to build a future for her kids. And I honestly think if mom wasn't so faithful, I don't know that I would have that foundation. And then I went through 15 years as a single mother. No financial support, no family support. I mean, there was an attempted parental kidnapping, a threat of deportation. And I didn't have the luxury of worrying. I just prayed and trusted. That's really what shaped how I lead now.
Wow, I mean, that's a kind of faith forged in fire, right? Not theoretical. And then you made this really concrete leap, leaving the corporate world in 2015. That had to be terrifying.
Terrifying is the right word. I literally called it financial suicide in my head. But you know what? I would go to work nauseated. I would have to pull over to the side of the road and sleep. That's how out of alignment I was. My body was foreseeing a reckoning. And the day I finally gave notice, it was just this moment of total surrender. I said, okay, God, you're all I got. And that was it. That was the pivot.
That's interesting, because surrender in our culture gets framed as weakness. But it sounds like for you, it was actually the most empowered moment you'd had.
Exactly. And it happened again in 2024 when God prompted me to join Kingdom Factor. And my honest first reaction was, you've got to be kidding me. Like, really? But then I just said, fine, you're the CEO, because I'm tired of figuring it all out by myself. And the moment I said that, the burden lifted. Does that make sense? When Christ is the CEO of your life and your business, every decision gets filtered through that. And there's a peace in it that I can't manufacture on my own.
That's so good. And I want to ask about the marketplace side of this, because I think a lot of Christian leaders feel this tension. They sense a calling, but there's this subtle pressure to shrink it down in professional spaces. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, the rejection is real. The discomfort is real. And the temptation to shrink, I get it. but I genuinely see revival happening in the marketplace right now. And the thing I keep coming back to is this: listen to your soul, not the rational mind that creates rational lies. Fear feels yucky and contracted. Your soul feels expansive and playful. And when you're operating from soul alignment, you're not shrinking. You're actually the most effective version of yourself as a leader.
I love that distinction. Rational lies. That's going to stick with me. Tess, as we wrap up, what's the one thing you'd say to a leader who's maybe in that burnout place right now, wondering if there is another way?
Tune in. You are not alone. You are a child of God. Give yourself full permission to be fully expressed as a child of God. That's it. That's the whole message. Saying yes to God's call takes boldness, but the reward is a life and a business guided by divine purpose and an unwavering peace that nothing else can give you.
Tess, thank you. This has been a genuinely rich conversation. For everyone listening, the original article by Tess Vergara is linked in the show notes, along with more on soul-powered leaders. If this resonated with you, share it with a leader who needs to hear it. We'll see you next time on Kingdom Factor Collective.